Hello gentlemen and gentleladies, my name is Sir Stanger, and today we're going to dive into the topic of trickstabbing and why it is I believe that trickstabbing sucks so much. But before we get into that, I would like to talk about one thing that I forgot to mention in my last YouTube video, and that would be that I have opened up a Discord server. And if you would like to be a part of that, please click on the link in the description below. It'll take you right to my Discord server, and feel free to post away. We have a couple of server rules that should be posted in the server rules section. Other than that, as long as you follow those, you should be good to go. So please have fun. I plan to be very active in it, so you should see me around quite often. Well, anyway, no more stalling here. Let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand, and that is why it is I believe trickstabbing is not the best thing around. Now, before you ask, yes, I am a spy main. No, I am not the best trickstabber in the world, and yes, I do know how to trickstab. So first, let's go ahead and dissect what trickstabbing is and what it is used for in an actual game. Trickstabbing should be used as a last-ditch escape attempt. Trickstabbing should not be used literally all of the time. How trickstabbing is actually used? Literally all of the time. I swear to God, every single time a spy main finds out what trickstabbing is, it is all that they care about and all that they try to do. There are lots of spies out there who are constantly going for stair stabs and corner stabs who have absolutely no idea how to do it and can barely play spy as it is without trying to trickstab at all. Now, for those that don't know what trickstabbing is basically when you try and fool your opponent into going one way while you duck and go a different way, so that way you can kind of force them to keep their back to you so you can try and get a backstab on them when they would least expect it. Now, this is an extremely advanced spy technique that I'm even only just barely able to grasp after almost 400 hours of spy. And while I said before that I am not the best trickstabber on the planet, and that is true, you do need to play spy for some amount of time before you can start trying to reliably trickstab anybody. I know that I constantly struggle with going out and using trickstabbing reliably in any old given match, because there are lots of people who know what trickstabbing is and they know what to look for. And that's what trickstabbing really relies on. You outsmarting your opponent. And if you're really not that great at spy to begin with, you're not going to outsmart anybody. And yet, it seems to be the only thing that spy mains care about these days. Whenever someone approaches me and asks me to help them with their spy gameplay, I first ask them, well, what would you like me to help you with? The answer is almost always, I would like help with my trickstabbing. When I go and look at their account, it's almost always like 10 or 15 hours played on spy. Frankly, this just isn't enough time. There's no way that you are ready to start trying to trickstab people when you probably don't have the full basics of spy fully grasped. And don't get me wrong, trickstabbing can be fun. It is a very flashy way to kill your opponent and a great way to try to escape a very sketchy situation that you might not be able to escape otherwise. But that's exactly what it is, a very flashy kill. Trickstabbing is almost always unnecessary for the situation, but I see tons of spies try and pull one off anyway. It's like, man, you really could have just gone in and backstabbed that guy or shot him with a revolver because he had like 10 health left, but you insisted on trying to round that corner kind of weird to get a trickstab on him, and so you died to a random crit from an uber saw. So, you know, good job, idiot. And to top it all off, trickstabbing is a very, very unreliable way to kill people. At its core, trickstabbing is basically trying to get somebody to put their back somewhere that you want them to put it. So you're basically trying to tell the future as to where their back is going to be and not where it is right now. And unless you actually have psychic powers, there's very few chances that you are actually going to be able to, with 100% certainty, know where that back is going to be. And guessing wrong will usually cost you your life, because in order to trickstab, you have to try and get closer to the person that is currently chasing you, which means most of the time, you will end up dying because you got closer to the guy that is trying to kill you, and you did not successfully manage to backstab them. And due to its difficult nature, it should be one of the very last skills that you attempt to learn as a spy player. You really shouldn't be trying to get it done before you learn how to do anything else, which is what a lot of people try to do. And to me, this makes no sense. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you're a bad spy because you don't know how to trickstab, because that simply is not the case. There are plenty of spies out there who are really, really good, probably better than I will ever be, who don't use trickstabbing hardly at all. This is because they only trickstab when they absolutely need to, when they need to get away in some sort of situation, like they've been covered in fire, mad milk, or maybe even Jarate, and they're totally exposed to the enemy team, and they need to kill off somebody who's chasing them. So this is one of the only times that they usually end up using trickstabbing, and you won't see them use it that often because of how good they are at spy. They don't usually get caught that often. And while I know that there are absolute gods among men at trickstabbing out there, most people are not that way, and it takes hours and hours of practice in order to be like that. And in order to use it in an actual regular match, just, you know, with any sort of reliability, that's not going to happen for you for a long time. So before you go and ask your spy main friend if they'll help you with your trick stabbing, go ahead and ask yourself this question. Have I mastered everything else on spy? And by mastered, I mean, am I proficient enough at spy to be able to do what a spy needs to do? Can I do a spy's job without very much difficulty at all? If the answer is yes, and you believe that you've done absolutely everything you can to become the best spy possible, and you're literally only one trick stab lesson away from being the best there is, then go ahead, try and learn trick stabbing. I primarily learned trick stabbing because it was a very situational thing, and so I would attempt to do it when I felt like I had no other alternative. I'd get backed into a corner by a pyro, or maybe a scout or something like that, and I would try and trick stab my way out of the situation because, well, any other way I was probably going to die anyway. Besides, as a spy, you have a very important role to your team, and if you're wasting it going around trying to flashy kill every single person on the enemy team, well, you might as well just not be a spy, because you're really not doing your job at that point. If you aren't going around and killing key targets like medics and engineers and their sentry nests, well, you're not doing your job as a spy, because a spy, after all, is a support class, or at least that's what it says on the main screen for the class select. I don't really know how much weight there is to that anymore, but I do know that it's somewhat right. It's your job to kill the important people on the enemy team. It's really not your job to push the cart, even though you should sometimes, and it's really not your job to go around and healing people. You really have no way of doing that. Our Lord and Savior Gaben gave you the gift of a sapper and a knife, with the ability to backstab. If you're not using those two to their fullest advantages and helping your team move along, well, then you're not doing what you should be. Because a really good spy will not need to use trick stabbing almost at all, because they will go in, get the job done, kill the engineer, destroy his sentry nest, make the medic drop uber, and get out without being detected the entire time. And it is 100% possible to get to the top of the scoreboard without having to trick stab a single time as spy. Now here's a pretty good example here of a spy that's trying to do trick stabs when he really doesn't need to. I'm gonna go ahead and assume he's probably using the dead ringer because he's not trying to invis away, but as you can see, he's constantly going for stair stabs and just not landing any. Now he's honestly pretty lucky because he didn't die from this, and I think because he had the dead ringer he was able to use it and get away, but under most situations this would normally cause you to die, and he could have very easily been backstabbed by the spy, or perhaps crit by the medic. In that situation, he probably should have just used the dead ringer to make them assume that he had died, try to escape somewhere, and then attack them from a different angle, rather than constantly go for stair stabs that are not really going to lead anywhere. While this can certainly waste the enemy's time and make it so they focus less on the payload and more on you, it still doesn't accomplish a whole lot more than that. And that probably wasn't the best method to try and waste people's time anyway, since he could have died multiple times. This is kind of the reason why trick stabbing sucks, because it's a very flashy way and a very appealing way to kill people, so a lot of people want to practice learning how to trick stab when you don't really need to. It's really unnecessary to learn how to trick stab or to really be all that great at it. And sure, it can be a lot of fun, but it sucks for the reason that it makes people want to do trick stabbing rather than actually playing spy correctly. Trick stabbing sucks because it messes with your priorities, makes you focus on doing trick stabbing rather than doing what a spy should be doing. So this is a message to all you blossoming spy mains out there. Don't worry about your trick stabbing so much. I know it's really cool. I know all the YouTubers like to do trick stabs, and there's lots of cool trick stab montages online. You might even know some people who are really, really good at trick stabbing. But don't worry about it. Don't focus so much on your ability to trick stab, because it doesn't affect your value as a spy player. It really only affects your ability as a trick stabbing player. That's about it though. Just focus on doing your job as a spy, which is totally wrecking the other team's day. Make sure that they don't have any sentries, make it easier for your team to cap, whatever it is that you can do to help your team, because you are a support character after all. So if you are a spy main, or maybe you're not a spy main, and you're having a hard time getting around as spy because you're mostly focusing on trick stabbing, maybe try avoiding trick stabs for a little while. I made a video a while back about some loadouts that you can use to help yourself improve as spy. There's one that involves the Your Eternal Reward that I would suggest using heavily, so if I were you, I'd go check out that video now. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. So, spy mains, let's collectively agree to only trick stab when we need to, and stop focusing on doing it so much so we can actually be, well, productive members of our teams. Anyway guys, this has been my opinion on trick stabbing, and why I believe that it kinda sucks. So, if you disagree with me, go ahead and feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section. If you agree with me, please tell me as well. I would definitely appreciate that. Also, if you didn't catch my announcement in the last video, I am not going to have regular uploads on Tuesdays anymore. I'm currently uploading just whenever it is that I can. So, I hate to ask you, but if you could hit the little bell notification next to the subscribe button, so that way you can actually get notifications whenever it is that I upload a video, that would be lovely. So that way you guys can actually know when I have a video coming out, since I have no set schedule anymore. Or at least not till further notice. I'll let you guys know as soon as I get a regular schedule going again, as I hope to have one at some point in the near future. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and with that, Let's keep the internet classy. I'll see you then. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello,
Can I have the attention of the internet?
My name
For
is
1 second.
My name is Sir Stanger.